Welcome to the home of the DIY movement, where we build stuff and paint things.
All right, y'all, welcome back. It is Way Back Wednesday, man. So we're going to get into it. The year, I believe, is around 2019. You can see that's when the Houston Astros, were in the heart of their AL West dominance, and now we're struggling to win a game. But what we have right here is the Red Rocket 64. So around this time, 2019, 2020-ish, things are kind of out of order, because I believe at this time, the 64 that we just finished, that just got sold at that time, was already lifted. And while this car was here in 2019, the 64 was not lifted. So I'm trying to keep things in order, but sometimes there's going to be some overlapping. Yep, so here we are. The blue 64 is not yet cut. It's a stock restoration, I guess you can call it. And the Red Rocket 64 frame is next to it. We have the batting cage we used to have in the shop, indoor batting cage suspended with pulleys. So we used to do a lot of different things in the shop, man. And probably most people watching know about this Red 64. If not, he has his own channel. I believe it's called Rocket Man. He's working on a 59 right now. If I'm going to leave a description or a link in the description for his channel, but you could check it out. You could just search Rocket Man 59 Impala, and his latest video should pop up. Man, that 59 it's hard to achieve nicer than this Red 64 was, but the 59 is nicer, man. I like to call it Mr. Immaculate. But man, we kind of cross paths, kind of just by what you would say happenstance. If I remember right, man, he called me. We hadn't known each other. He called me out of the blue. I don't even know how he got my phone number, to ask me about a tilt steering column for the 64 here that he was working on. If I had ever bought a cheaper aftermarket, like the $300 ones, or what, And I said, man, I did it. They fit. They take all the guesswork out, get them local. So that's what I use, and I believe I know that's what he ended up using. And ever since, then we kind of stayed in touch, and we became good friends. So that conversation led, I believe, to him coming over one night or one day when I was wet sanding and buffing the blue 64 before it was assembled. You know what I mean? And we sat and talked, and eventually he brought this frame over here so that he can body work on his on the shell. And I'll be honest, man, when the frame showed up, I was in awe, and I told him, I'm like, man, this is something serious right here. There's not a lot of cars out there at the time that had this drivetrain. That's a Gen 5 LT. I don't know if I have a lot of pictures of it, but there's a Gen 5 LT with a 6L80 in 2018, late 2018, early 2019. And that was the first one I had ever seen. LS swaps are common, and all that, but this was the next level. And I believe this was so early on that there was no manufacturers for a pulley kit. The only manufacturer was Dirty Dingo, which is what he has right there, which is a really basic pulley kit. There wasn't a CVF, there wasn't any billet stuff, billet specialty, or it was only Dirty Dingo. So I was like, man, this is something else. I've never seen this. It was molded, powder coated, show chrome stuff, Ford 9-inch rear end, the whole works. And it's all documented on the channel. There's plenty of videos of when we messed with this car. Really, all I did was store the frame for him while he body worked the body at his house. He brought that over here, and then we painted it. and I think we buffed it, and then we put it on the frame, and he took it back to his house, and then he finished the rest of the car. So I didn't build the car. I had a hand in it, provided my space and opportunity. Actually, some of my most popular videos on the channel are from this car. I know the how to install front and back glass is a popular channel or popular video, and then I believe a video I called the Red Rocket Has Landed was also a popular video. A lot of views on the channel. So let's get into it. This was the day that I picked the car up from his house for him. I remember he painted the firewall in his garage, and he said, I believe he had like some solvent pop issues or something. And, you know, I mean, he knows how to spray, but I think at that time I had just a little bit more experience, and I was like, man, just let's bring it to the house, man. Bring it to the shop where we got plenty of space, man. Like, it's gonna be really hard to paint this car in a 2-car garage in a subdivision. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen. It happens all the time, but there's not a lot of room. There's not good ventilation. It's gonna stink up the house. Like, just let's bring it down, man. So that's what we did. I went and picked it up. At this stage, I believe this was sanded feather fill, or possibly 2K urethane after that on top of feather fill. And the dash and the firewall he painted, and we ended up respraying once we got it down. This was a picture of the skirt. I believe we sprayed this just to kind of get a feel for things. I don't remember the name of the color, but it's basically the color that's on the red Silverados and I believe the red Corvettes. I think it's called, I forgot, Rocket Red or something like that. It was a really red color. At that point, we were still using the Shopline JC 6700. I had used the SPI Universal on the Blue 64, but he had a good connection on getting the Shopline stuff at a discount, so that's the clear we used. I believe we used Shopline Plus on the base coat. So skirt's pretty straightforward. I mean, sometimes they need body work, but most of the time you can get away with just scuff and spray. You should still block it to see what you got, but a lot of times they don't require a lot of work. Yep, here it is, masked up, getting ready to spray just the firewall and the dash. You can see the 61 bubble top in the background. Like I say, there's some overlapping things. The 61 is going to be next. And here we are. It's a poor quality picture, but the dash is painted. Got a little texture. I believe we cut it, knocked it down a little bit, but that clear is definitely glossy. I do like that clear. It's just, I don't know, it seemed like it stayed soft the whole time. I mentioned that in previous Way Back Wednesday. I mean, it's good stuff, but I think the SPI is better, cheaper, and they ship to the house. And for me, that's a big deal, because for me to go get the PPG stuff, I got to drive 45 minutes each way. I'd rather just get the SPI and FedEx brings it to me. So the firewall is done and the dash is done. So we broke this car down in different parts to make it more manageable. Here we are getting ready to spray the roof. It's a 44-inch roof. He installed that himself. In fact, he did some pretty extensive rust repair on this car before I even met him. And he did a good job, man. The car was a really nice car, once it was said and done. So we're getting ready to spray the roof. We kind of masked the body off a little bit, not too much. Back then, I used to drape the ceiling with that plastic sheeting, as you can see. The theory behind that is the overspray is going to rise to the ceiling and stick to the plastic sheeting versus coming back down onto the car. I think it works. I think you do get a cleaner paint job. Of course, worst case, something always in the back of my head is what happens when the tape starts unraveling and the plastic sheeting comes down on the car. You're going to end up with a marble bowling ball paint job. Here it is, cleared. Like I say, the JC 6700, man, it's got a lot of gloss to it. It's decent. I believe it calls for a tack coat. So, it's good. It helps with without trying to run it, you know. Put your tack coat down first, then your second coat has something to stick to. Your third coat, you wet it down. So yeah, we tag teamed this car, painted it in sections. It was dash and firewall, then it was roof, and then I believe it was doors, and then it was quarters. And when it was all said and done, it did look pretty good, and everybody was happy and satisfied. Here is the picture of the door. I remember we sprayed these things with the shop wide open, and I think we only got like 1 or 2 little bugs, man. Like, it's crazy how sometimes when you really plan for stuff, things go wrong, but when you kind of, you know, carelessly do something, it comes out great. So here we are. I believe this was after we wet sand and buffed them, and man, they were, you know, look really good for a backyard paint job. Onto the shell. The process is the same. The roof is masked up. We got the ceiling draped. We sprayed this thing on the rotisserie, and we were able to do it. Here it is, painted, boom, just like that. All red. You can see you got red floor in the shop. Some of that stuff is still there, you know, what, 7 years later. But man, this thing was glowing red, man. So here we got 264 side by side, one red, one blue, and you know, everybody was happy, man. I was happy to do it. I believe, you know, I got some subscribers out of it on the channel and more experience. Made a friendship. He got his car painted, and boom, everybody's happy. Pretty sure these pictures here are after the thing was buffed. Back then, I did a whole different process, man. I was doing like 4-stage buffing with 3M compounds and some other stuff, and I've definitely changed my technique since these pictures here. Now I use the ACA stuff. I'm more meticulous when it comes to wet sanding. Actually, I remember when we were wet sanding the doors for this, we did like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, and then buffed them, and we had some straight line scratches still there, and but they were more coarse than the 1,500. And man, we were like, what the hell is that? How this happened, man? So we called a good friend of ours who's been painting for a really long time, explained to him the situation, and he said, man, are you guys using a bucket? And we said yes, and he said, that's your problem. He said, don't use a bucket, use a spray bottle. And ever since then, that's what we do, and the results have definitely improved. I think the well water has something to do with it, but you guys see me emphasize all the time when on wet sanding videos, I don't bucket sand anymore. I use a spray bottle, and so the only thing that's hitting the car is, you know, the water from a spray bottle and the sandpaper. When you use a bucket, if your bucket ain't brand new and brand new clean, whatever's in that bucket is going to be in the water, man. So the absolute worst thing you can do is find some dirty bucket in the corner of your garage, fill it up with soapy water, and start wet sanding, because all those contaminants are going to get in between that sandpaper and the car, and you're going to end up with straight line scratches that are more coarse than the sandpaper, and that's exactly what happened. So just a little tech tip for you guys: no more bucket sanding. Here we are. The firewall was wet sand and buffed, and I was just amazed, man, because at this point, I mean, I had built a few cars and painted some stuff, you know, but never to this level, with the molded firewall like that, and the body mounts, and the dash was molded. Man, the whole damn car was molded, but I was definitely excited to bring this onto the channel and you know, just be able to take part in the process. So once it was all painted and stuff, and we put it on the rolling chassis that he had, man, this thing had, like I say, full chrome under, 4.9-inch molded frame, man, the works, molded A-arms, disc brake in the front, just all the works. There we go. We got a young version of Elijah there. He's probably, man, I don't know, 12, maybe 13. But yeah, this is it on the frame, man, with the drivetrain. Like I say, doors are hung, and that drivetrain just blew my mind. And I was like, man, you know, in the back of my mind, I knew that I would be getting another 60 convertible one day. And I said, man, that's what I want. I want this drivetrain. And we made it happen. We made it happen, man. He helped me get it. He helped me wire it, and I have it in the 60 now. So I was just in awe that, like I say, at that time in 2019, the LT Gen 5s were not quite as popular. Maybe in the Pro Touring or the Resto Mod type world, but as far as in the lowrider world, I had never seen one. Not to say there wasn't, you know, one already out, but it definitely wasn't popular, man. Strange fun fact, man. And we still to this day don't know why. For some reason, YouTube will not allow me to comment on any of his videos, and he can't comment on any of my videos. And neither one of us can figure out why. We've tried, you know, I remember one time, I think when we were painting, you know, either the roof or the quarters or something, you know, in between waiting for paint to dry, he called Google or whatever, Google, YouTube, whoever, called him and tried to get them to look into the problem, and they couldn't figure it out. So to this day, I can't comment on any of his videos, and he can't comment on mine, and it's crazy. And also, I can't see any of his replies to comments because I watch his channel. I'm sure he watches mine. And, you know, people will comment and he'll reply, and I can't see his reply. It's crazy. I can't explain it. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, I just wanted to include this in the Wayback Wednesday because you know, the car was here for a couple months or whatever. He ended up taking the car pretty much like this, and he ended up finishing the entire car. The car had everything. It had tilt, AC, power seat, 44, the LT swap, the Ford 9. Man, ADEXs, it had the works. He finished it, the entire thing, you know, in his 2-car garage, the same one he's building the 59, man. So I encourage everybody to go check out his channel. I'm going to leave the link to his channel. Hopefully YouTube allows that. Go check out his stuff, man. Help him out, help his channel grow, because he's definitely building some top-notch quality stuff over there, and he's doing it in his 2-car garage, man. And to me, that is the DIY movement, man. Just be able to do something like that in your own garage, you know, at your house. That's crazy. Anyways, man, we're gonna wrap this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed this little Wayback Wednesday here, man. I think the next one in line is gonna be the bubble top, the 61 bubble top. Y'all stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.